Am I audible? I am audible. Hello, everyone. I am the Nephente, vocalist of several bands of metal repute. Insignificant, but still. No, I am Nephente. I'm the vocalist of RIKET, Swedish death metal, and Netherbird, Swedish blackened death metal. A little bit depending on what you crave from your metal music. I will try not to be banned from copyright reasons, so I'll stop the background sounds here. It is sweet to be here, and it's sweet to see that some of you made your way through, your day to end up in the chat here. I can see Patrick here. It's been a while. Freda, it's been a while. Alex, it hasn't been such a while. Sylvia, good to see you. Ilse, Dave, Jane, welcome all. This is almost, but we're not here yet. Amelie, hello. It's almost a year since I started streaming. I think it's more or less a year since Netherbird did the first sort of band stream, but then we did it as a Zoom meeting, which was enclosed with some listeners. But I think we're soon about, I think the pandemic craziness started early March in Sweden. We were a bit late to catch on that the world was burning. But we've been, burning with the world for a year now. Marinating in the stew that is mankind. I am slightly in a pissy mood today, but I will try not to be too moody in the stream. But this is how life is. It goes up and down, and when you're in a band, you have ups and you have downs. And I've been doing Netherbird since 2004, so this is the 17th year. And it's not always easy, but most of the time it's more easy than uneasy. So that's at least that's good. Milena, good to see you too. And Patrick, you mentioned the intro music, and the intro music was composed by Bismarck of Netherbird. He made it when I asked him for, I need some sort of fucking intro, and he is like, yeah, here you have something. So it's not a Netherbird song, but it could have been a Netherbird song if it was like, if we would take him through the recording process. So that's just how normally a demo would sound when Netherbird does them. It's Bismarck writes the basic chord structures, puts some keyboards there, and some programmed drums. There you go. How are you guys doing? Everything okay? You can write something. Like, on a scale from 1 to 3, where 3 is good, 2 is okay, 1 is like, How are you doing? I would say I'm normally on a 3. Today I've been touching on a 1, and then I'm back to 2, and I'm working towards the 3 again. So that's how it is for me. This is like the 46th stream, I think, something like that. One. Okay, so you guys are okay-ish. Yeah. 1 is bad, 3 is great. But it's okay to be a 1. And I think we also need to realize on your way to 2. Okay, that's good. It's extremely difficult times. I was speaking to, because I have like a job, a day job. So I spoke to some colleagues who are like in managerial positions. And I told them, the simplicity of it. is that we lock people up in isolation as a punishment. This is what we do to fuck with people. And of course, if you lock up more or less, with rules and regulations, the entire population of the earth, people is not going to have a good time all the time. And I think also, it makes us more vulnerable because we have bad days and we have good days, but now there's very little to sort of break the pattern. So if we're having a bad day, it's going to be a bad day, because you're not all of a sudden going to be surprised and have this wealth of impressions that all of a sudden will burst today into something unexpectedly cool. So I think, and also we've been doing this for a year. It's taxing. So that's just how it is. So let me see. So there are some ones here. 2 by lockdown standards. Yeah, yeah. We are not so picky anymore, are we? Because it's tough to be human, and it's really tough to be human by yourself. We are like a flock animal. We're not really good at flocking, but we are a flock animal. We need to be together with other people. Sometimes we just need to be with other people so we can hate them and enjoy going back to our own solitary state of mind. I can feel that sometimes, that I only just need, stimuli somehow to react to. Good stuff, bad stuff, whatever, just make me feel something. And because I'm getting sort of numb. Dispensary is still open. It keeps it at that too. Yeah. And we are, as a species, I think, mankind we are pretty tough, actually. We manage all sorts of shit, and we think this is tough. Of course, people who lived through war, it's tougher, and still they manage to get out there. They still do okay afterwards. You have fucking Nelson Mandela being isolated in prison, only to emerge, as a wise old man, and still, filled with empathy and shit. So we can take on a lot. But we do this once a week. We're online. We share this community of stray souls, and we ponder things that are important, which is, of course, in the end, only the metal is important. Not really, but it's very important. Music keeps at least me going, and as much this discussion about Spotify, this and that, I have to say I live through the well of music that is provided to me by Spotify, and I listen to so much new music, actually. Currently I've had this sounds grimmer than it is, like a synthwave period where I've been listening to mainly Carpenter Brute. But a lot of synthwave is actually it's really good. And then I've been thinking that why the hell do I really enjoy this? And I think it's due to the fact that one of the first bands I really got into, and one of the first albums I really got my hands on, was Alpha Will, the Forever Young album, which is like very old. So if you're like a young person, you might not have cared too much about it. But for me, that album is filled to the brim with good melody, good production, fantastic vocals, actually very good lyrics also, if you care to delve into it. So for me, this synth-based music is very close to metal music. Actually, it's similar in a way, because we build the songs in a similar manner. It's just different instrumentation. So when somebody like Carpenter Brute, when they put together synth music, but with songs that could actually be metal tunes, something interesting happens to me. And so that's very close to home. Let's see. Living on a Groundhog Day almost for a year. Yes. If you guys haven't seen the series on Netflix called Russian Doll, you should check it out. About this girl who dies at the end of each episode only to relive the same day, trying different things. Basically the same ending all the time. But I mean, and I guess that is how it feels for most of us. It's like we die and we respawn all the time to the same existence. It's not hell. I mean, I'm doing okay. I'm sitting in my apartment downtown in Stockholm. It's okay, but it's actually very boring because nothing, almost nothing, gets to me. And when it gets to me, I don't know if I'm overreacting, underreacting, or if I'm normally reacting to stuff. I met a colleague today. We did something naughty. We went for lunch. So we met in the city. I had a baked potato, which I like. And I just felt, prior to meeting that, how do you even interact with people? And she had the same feeling. So we were talking about, how unused we are to actually dealing with people. So, Jacob, favorite country in the world? I guess you're asking me. Anybody is free to write their answer. I can spill my words about this. I have to say, I love Sweden. I am so super happy about Sweden and where we are standing and what this country is about. But that always sounds wrong. But I really like this place. Alex loves Japan. I've been to Japan. I love that. I've been to Russia. Had wonderful time in various places in Russia. I haven't seen all of the country, but I love Moscow as a tourist. I wouldn't like to live there. I love Amsterdam. Amsterdam is perhaps my favorite city besides New York. New York, East and West Village. Love that. I love the peninsula in Mexico, like Cancun, but especially Playa del Carmen. I've been to all continents except South America, which is something I need to remedy. Never been to Antarctica either, but I don't have the finances to do that. I have to say, I tend to love it wherever I go when I'm given enough time to get beyond the surface and actually meet people and experience the place. Loved South Africa, especially because of the nature, which is so fantastic. But a favorite, I've been to Australia. I like that I survived Australia. I have this. I'm not very good with spiders, especially big spiders that wants to kill me and can kill me. Wants to kill me. They want nothing besides killing me. So I'd have to think about it. But I have to say, I mean, I really like Sweden because I think we are a pretty nice little country. We have a fairly functioning society, nice people, and lots of space. So I like that. But on the other hand, I had great weeks in Hong Kong, which has no space. Pretty cool people, though. Oh, this is tough. I would love to see more of the real Africa. I've been to South Africa. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Cape Verde, the islands to the west of Africa. But I've never been, to the real Africa. So that will be cool to see. I've been a lot to the States. Haven't been in all the States, but, fair amount of them. Been to Canada, Mexico. I've been all over. So that I was a bit not really ready to 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 answer that question. Kvän, of course, Kvänland. I love that the most. I have been to the northern parts of Sweden, but I think also most places have their own soul. But you need locals to help you find it. So I think the places I like are the places where I've met people who have sort of introduced me to the realities of the place. Being a tourist is always half-assed sort of effort. But people, please feel free to write your favorite country in the world. Swaziland and Kenya. I would love that. Because that would be more the real Africa. South Africa, at least most parts where I got to visit are very westernized, and also, but South Africa was the first time I experienced feeling that some people hated me because of my skin color. So that was an interesting experience, and it taught me a thing or two about taking things for granted. So you lived there for 4 fucking years, Alex. Yeah, we should all dig wells in Congo, I think. I think they need... I mean, the very fact that, there are still people on this planet with no access to clean drinking water, that says something that we have stuff still to do. Regardless of everything, we need to be able to say that at least we know you need food, shelter, water, heat, proper education, and we can take it from there. Unless we have that for everyone, the work is far from done. Would never want to live my days in another country than Sweden. Well, maybe Norway, if somebody was pointing a gun to me. No, Tobias, Norway is it's bad for you. It's okay if you're Norwegian, I guess. Now, to be honest, Scandinavia is such an easy place to grow up, and I think in parts that might also explain why we have this extreme metal is because we were so fucking pampered when we grew up that we felt that nothing was really dangerous or scary or really getting to us. So I don't know if it was Fenris who said it. One of the Darkthrone guys, I think, said it because that black metal was caused from boredom. And I think in a way, boredom meaning that, everything is so safe, nothing is really, acute here, made us go very deep into these extremities in order to feel something. I don't know if it's 100% true, but I mean, extreme metal sort of was born in Sweden, Norway. There's no reason for us to be extreme. We should be, all happy, everything is safe. But I think as people, we're not really built to be just safe. We need to be challenged and feeling, the acuteness of existence sometimes. And then we have Florida also, maybe. Well, they have the gators, obviously, and spiders and shit. But I think it's the same there that, if it was, only coming from extreme circumstances, there are so many other countries where extreme metal should have been born, like a war zone here, a war zone there. But I think if you're in a war zone or if you're starving, your hands are filled with trying to survive, trying to get through to the next day. So I think boredom is a good breeding ground for extreme music. Let's see. I moved there when I was 3 because my dad worked with the Red Cross. Well, you had a more interesting upbringing, Alex, than I did. I stem from Smålandia, which is a municipal, like a landscape. Sweden is a fairly big country, actually. We always refer to it as a small country, but geographically speaking, it's pretty big. Especially it's long. This is like 2,000 kilometers from north to south. And it's divided into different regions, which every country is. But in Sweden, you can actually almost 100% certainty tell which region a person is from the dialect. Because these regions have been sort of their own little communities for a long, long time. I come from Smålandia, which is like a peasant community with, you know, these hot-headed peasants that never really were so good at taking orders from the royalty, which were, you know, Sweden is a monarchy. So we were never really good at that. And the peasant has never been really dominated by the king in Sweden. The peasants have always, you know, revolted whenever they had an issue. So we have Småland and we have Dalarna, the Dayland communities. Same there, that the peasants there were never easy to really deal with. So the king always had to sort of negotiate with these fucking peasants in order, you know, to stay in power. Otherwise the peasants would revolt and shit hits the fan. Scandinavia always had darkness and melancholy. Yes, we do. I think the Swedish, and that's of course the more musical explanation of all this. Tobias, who is like the main songwriter for Wormwood. If you haven't checked them out, which you should, but if you haven't, you should check them out right now. Pause this stream. Almost all the chord progressions and the melody scales in black, I said melodic black and melodic death metal, you can sort of derive them from the Scandinavian music, folk music tradition. It's very similar actually, and also it seems to resound when you go further south into the more eastern parts of Europe. Our chord progressions just seem to work there for some reason. And we have long winters and we have the cold and all that stuff. So yeah, there are circumstances that might also explain why we have this inclination for the darkness. Because if we don't embrace the darkness, we succumb. Because in this far up north, the winter is a very dark period. And either you sort of like that or I guess you froze to death. There was only those two options. So this is also, I think, why we care so much about our dwelling, you know, the place where we live. Because if you don't make sure that your hut is, you know, warm and cozy, you will die. And I think sometimes also that makes us, you know, a little bit enclosed in our own living environment. Because we're so used to, you know, it's so very important to have your hut really warm. Because otherwise you freeze to death. Let's see, I've always been dreaming a year now about your frozen hinterland, so you disappoint me. I am sorry. I love the frozen majesty of the, you know, the Scandinavian, or actually the northern hemisphere nature. I think, to me, nature, I don't bow to any god except nature. And to me, you know, the forest is the cathedral where I go to and I feel at one with, you know, everything. Extreme weather conditions for the best extreme metal. Yeah, I guess so. I think, well, I think a lot of the music that you can hear from Scandinavia makes a lot of sense if you also visit this place, but not visit the cities, because I have friends coming from all over the world. They visit Stockholm because they want to, you know, see the metal, this sort of this idea that this is metal haven, and it is, because you see, you know, whenever you go in Stockholm or Oslo or Helsinki or even Copenhagen, you'll see a lot of long-haired, especially guys then, and you know, people wearing metal shirts and stuff, and we definitely, I mean, that is completely fine, but you don't see so many live shows as you might expect. It's not like it's gonna be, you know, a black metal band playing every night in Stockholm. You won't see it on TV. You have to go into the nature to discover the roots of why it matters and why this makes sense. Because it has very little to do with the cities. I mean, I come from the countryside in Sweden, the extreme countryside, where we didn't even have a record store where I grew up. But the music is more connected to the nature and the landscape than it is to the cities that we have. I mean, I think you have more death and black metal concerts going on in New York than you have in Stockholm. Also, of course, there are more people, but still. Nature is the only thing above the human race. I agree totally. I understand that some people, they bow to this and that, but I bow to nature. To me, that is the only thing I need to feel, small and insignificant. It's a big storm or a thunderstorm that will show me the majesty of nature and how small we are when Gaia shows our muscles. We will always be just leaves in that storm away. Not every night I go to shows, 6 to 15 times a month about. Yeah, but Jane, you are in you are in Copenhagen, right? I think Copenhagen is more happening than Stockholm. Stockholm, we used to have like gigs at least every Friday and Saturday. We had underground gigs, but it's coming and going. For some time we had a lot of them. Now we have fewer. We have one place in Stockholm, more or less, Fredagsmangel, like the Friday grind in Jakobsberg. It's those are true enthusiasts, and they keep it going. They kept it going for a long time. We'll see. When this is over, we'll see the underground gigs coming. But we have less extreme metal going on in the public eye than you might expect. But still, I think you have to go into the the nature preservations. Then you will understand why this is like the birthplace of some of the black metal. And if you go to Norway, you'll see the rest. Not in Copenhagen, but outside. Copenhagen is where I go. Yeah. Copenhagen is a beautiful but also very continental city compared to, for instance, Stockholm. This is more provincial. It's not as multifaceted as I think Copenhagen is. Copenhagen is nice though. I really like that. And you also go to Malmö, Odense, Aarhus, Göteborg. So 2 of those are Swedish cities and 2 of them are Danish. Well, this is also for people from other countries. Scandinavia, it's very intertwined. So you go in between it, especially if you live close to the borders. It's just like, you visit often. I haven't been much to Malmö for concerts. I've been to a few. Gothenburg, definitely. Gothenburg has I think at least as a rich underground scene as Stockholm. Malmö, not so much actually. I think Copenhagen sort of gravitates stuff there. But I have some friends in Malmö doing good music. I'll put one of them as a guest here pretty soon if everything goes according to my expectations. In any case, blah blah blah. I'm blind, and this is what I do. I was thinking that I haven't been playing enough good new music to you guys, so tonight I will remedy that. And this first song that I'm gonna play, as you might know, Netherbird had a lot of people in the band. So almost whenever I play something from Sweden, it's an ex-member or a friend of an ex-member or whatever. This is how it works. But this time around, it's as a present member in Netherbird who used to be in this band way before Netherbird, way before even he joined another pretty famous Swedish band called Amon Amarth. He had this band called Canaries Quintet that turned into a band called This Ending. And This Ending, he has left This Ending, so he's currently not in the band on this recording. Instead, it's one of the guys from Mökgryning playing the drums. So yeah, bear with me. And the sound of this song, I really like this song. I think they are still vital as fuck. And I think also there's a little bit of Amon Amarth-ish overtones in it, but this is melodic death metal when it's like at its best. So I'll play it, and you guys can write in the chat if you think I'm wrong or blah blah blah. But you also have to say this is fucking fantastic. I'm gonna support this band, and I'm gonna get all of their albums or whatever. Let's see if I can make this work. Yes, good people. It's always fun to be able to multitask stuff. That is this ending, and they've been a force for quite some time actually. Not really getting the attention I think that they do deserve, rightly so. Also, a very strong live act. On top of being actually very swell guys as well. But, you know, I might be a bit biased there. So, this is the band that Fredrik was in when he joined Netherbird. He's not currently in them. But I think you guys should really check it out. And also go deeper than them. Go back to the ACQ times as well for, you know, really the old school. And sometimes I think you can say, oh, you know, it sounds a little bit like Amon Amarth. Yeah, or do Amon Amarth sound like these guys? Because it's not that easy to say which is which. And also, I mean, simple truth. If you like it, you like it. I am a huge fan of what Amon Amarth does, but I also know that they didn't just invent shit. They made shit more, you know, available, and they reached further than most. But they stem from the same sort of bloodline and the same soil, so they dig at the same, you know, the same wells as the rest of us. Yeah. Do check out this ending. I think they deserve more recognition than they've got so far. But since I'm such a, you know, modern person, I will have two more recommendations for you guys before our time is up this time. And if time allows, I will also see if I can recommend one or two of my, you know, personal old school classic albums that I think everybody should, you know, pay attention to. So let's see. I was trying to be also modern here and check this chat going on. As you might have realized by now, the shortest lag time in between, you know, what you write and what you see on screen is by far it's Twitch. But there are very few people watching this stream on Twitch, but I'd recommend that if you want to be, you know, quick in interaction. Second fastest is YouTube, and the slowest is Facebook. Let's see here. Looking new stuff to listen to. Berserk Legion is also a band that is very similar to Amon Amarth's sound. Yes, I agree. Berserk Legion is. This ending is good, but Canarius Quintet is still better. Yes. Well, I'm old school. I will always love, you know, the older the stuff, the more, you know, to the core it is, the more I will love it. But I also know that, you know, bands need to progress and stuff like that. So, but yeah, ACQ is really good. Tobias, good to see you, man. But I want to really tip my hat to Oliver, who runs Black Lion Productions and Records, who puts out a lot of these really good bands now, and is doing a great job in, you know, pushing the underground, and actually more and more successfully so, which is really cool. First time I met Oliver was a long time ago when I organized one of the first Netherbird gigs. First one up north. We played a gig with Mr. Misery, I think it was. So this is a long time ago. But he has been putting out so many good albums, and this year will be no exception for that. They expect grand releases, actually. Which is also cool, because the underground would not be what it is without labels that actually give a fuck and actually put time and effort into making these releases happen. Scouting the bands there are many good bands, but you need to find bands that are able to, deliver, an album and put it out there. And so hats off to that. I work with another label, which is Eisenwald Tonschmiede in Germany. And I'm now going to push something slightly different music-wise, I guess, to what you just heard. But not... it's still... I mean, it's dark and gritty music. This might be new to some of you, but since I'm a very modern person, I will see if I can maybe even prefix this stuff. Or maybe I will just fuck it up, but we'll see. So here will be another song by another band called Kankar. And if you heard it, you heard it. If you haven't, pay attention. Yeah, welcome to Sweden. Yeah, well, that's Kankar from. It's obviously German and also released on, a German label. I think the German black metal is really finding its own niche, its own uh, identity. I mean, it's always had it, but I think it's becoming stronger and more individualistic by the year, actually. And I think this is also why I think black metal is so good. Is that every region sort of tune and sort of polish their own dialect of it. It's all you can always feel. It's the same core, same principle. But you can also tell that stuff is like a tree. It has branches. They come from the same center, but they grow in very different forms and very different directions. Still, all really part of the same canopy. I it mesmerizes me that it can be so different, yet you can still say it's the same basic principle that it all stems from, which is cool. Dyngim, I will do. Trollskogen, I will check up. Kanka was the band. Yes. Check it out. New album. It's coming on Eisenwald. And it's just one of several, I think, very potent Eisenwald releases coming up. This one struck me because it's... I love it. I also love how in the face the guitars are. They are so high in the mix. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, 19th of March. I might, when it comes to Eisenwald stuff, I might be a little bit ahead of when it's released. When it comes to Black Lion, a little bit slower, I think. But that's just because, I work with only one of these labels. But I love the music, and I think sometimes I also think that one of the things I really enjoy about the more extreme forms of black metal is that, of course, it's an industry, and we put a lot of effort into the art we put out there, and of course it's commercial products in one way, but very few labels would ever succeed if they didn't put out really awesome stuff that they're passionate about. So it's a lot of, I would say that passion above commercial success is what guides the good labels. They will also put out albums that they know won't sell so much, but they still think it's worthwhile to have it out there. And I don't see that from the major labels, so that's also a big difference. The new A Place My Sorrows album, I haven't actually heard it. I know it's out there, and I know I should listen to it. And after the stream, maybe I will. And then I will sit here next week and talk your heads out why it's such a great album. I will look it up. Thank you, Alex. As with all good things, they tend to end. And I will stop this stream with yet another, actually. It's a Black Lion release. And it's a release that Amelie, one of the viewers who's sometimes here, put my attention to, and she did it so for two reasons, I think. First off, it's a really good release. It's a good EP, but also it's one of the previous Netherbird drummers, Nils Fjellström, is playing on it, and you can hear that if you listen closely, because it's not super fast, but there are some cymbal fills that are just Nils fast. So Nils Fjellström plays drums on this stuff that I will put up before we close the stream. But I will be here for a few more minutes before I put that final song on. And next week it will be me, Nine, and Walter, and we'll talk about Off the Beaten Path. So we'll talk about music that is, lying in realms beyond perhaps expected when it comes to metalhead. So we'll play some, I wouldn't say guilty consciences, because we sort of doomed that concept. That's something we don't do. But stuff that is stuff that you might not expect or might not connect to metal, but stuff that we like a lot. Yes, Emily, and there you are. You are like online and stuff. So Nils Fjellström, yeah, Nils. If you're not aware of Nils Fjellström, you should just Google Nils Fjellström or Dominator and drummer reaction, and just see when other drummers see this guy perform. I've had the pleasure of having Nils. He played on the Ferocious Tides of Fate album with Netherbird, and I've seen how other drummers react when he goes on stage and just to sound check. Because he doesn't make a big deal out of who he is, and if people don't recognize him, he doesn't give a fuck. But they will recognize him when he starts playing. He's just one of these guys. He was part of recording this EP, and this EP I haven't listened to it enough yet, but I've heard it enough to say that I think more people should listen to this. And I will leave it, and I hope you guys will, take your time to discover it. It's a Black Lion production release. It's coming out. If it's not out already, it's coming out very soon. And keep sending me suggestions on stuff that I should check out, like Amelie did, because I was aware that this one came out, but I didn't listen to it because there are so many releases. So let me know stuff I should check out, and I will try my best to do so. And if I like it, or if I find some part of it interesting, I will of course share it, because this is what we do. But I will play this song, and then I'm out for tonight. It's been like always, a privilege to be here. And also, it's really cool to see you guys, writing. And it will be another few more months before we're through this worst part of this ordeal. But this will go into the history books. So history, it's a slow process, but we're getting there. And feel free to interact also afterwards. Send me a message or an email or tweet me, whatever. You're always welcome. But until next Monday then, I suppose. I will now try to be fixing things.